Let's talk about marketing. A calmer form of marketing. Marketing your creative business with authenticity, without stress, and without social media. As creatives, we usually don't get into working for ourselves because we want to get rich and famous. We just want to do what we love and what we feel that we can best contribute to the world. And we would like to make a decent living doing that while still having plenty of time over for life and family and our other creative projects. So when we start our dream business and we feel ourselves forced into this non-stop, shallow hustle culture that we didn't sign up for, it's frustrating, to say the least. But the good news is we don't have to play this game, even if it feels that way and seems that way, because everyone around us is playing the game. I've been a creative solopreneur now for over a decade in various shapes and forms. As a creative freelancer, as a writer, as a startup founder, a web designer, artist, content creator, I myself and a lot of other creatives are proof that you can run a calm, successful, creative business with your personality and integrity intact. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I want to emphasize that there isn't any one way to build a business. There are as many ways as there are people. This is just my philosophy and my way of doing things. My goal is not to prescribe some formula to you that you have to follow. And I'm also not guaranteeing quick and easy growth, because honestly, most of those promises that you find online are very misleading. They might have worked for one person or maybe a few people some time ago. They are not guaranteed to work for you. There are very few guarantees when it comes to business building. It takes effort and it takes time, but that time can be spent doing our heart's work and enjoying every step of the way. And I believe that's actually the most sustainable way to build a business, slowly, calmly, and while actually enjoying ourselves. If you agree, let's get started. Social media has felt like a sinking ship for quite a while now. I don't actually think it's just a feeling. There has been something happening with social media now for a few years. To begin with, these social platforms are becoming very crowded right now, oversaturated. So it's harder to get noticed just for that reason alone. But there's also the increasing influence of the algorithm, dictating who gets seen and who doesn't. Our feeds are overrun with ads and bots and what I like to call fast food content, the type of fast-paced, shallow, short video clips that don't really provide value but that maximize watch time and are therefore profitable for the platforms to promote. Everyone's in a rush, everyone's really distracted, there isn't much real socializing going on anymore. Most of the interaction is short and feels superficial, and for businesses there's almost no organic reach left. Very few of our followers actually see our content and we have to pay to reach them. So it's like a big slot machine almost. Not to mention the precariousness of relying too much on these platforms in your business. Accounts get hacked or taken down all the time, often for no apparent reason. And careers get destroyed this way. It's a never-ending, stressful time suck to produce content for these platforms, to compete, to play the game. And we get far less in return for our work than we used to just a few years ago. Social media used to be an effective and fun way of building an audience and promoting your business. Now it's a game of diminishing returns. Now it's a very ineffective way of marketing yourself and your work. I've seen a lot of professional creatives, even ones with huge followings, say that social media drives a very small percentage of their traffic and sales. Add to that the more personal downsides of being on social media all the time, like comparing ourselves with the polished facades of influencers and other creatives who might be more talented or seemingly more successful than we are, constantly feeling left behind and invisible, inadequate, and exposed to predatory advertising and scams. Social media just isn't a great place to be. Not for us and not for our businesses. But regardless how much we would like to get off it, can we really? Do we not really miss out on anything by not being there? That used to be my biggest fear when I left social media the first time. I was afraid that my business was just going to crash completely, that I would not get any more subscribers or clients, and that I would lose valuable opportunities or relationships. My view and my experience with this is that we are likely not missing out on as much as we think by not being on social media. And the few things that we might miss out on are probably worth missing out on because of all of the focus and energy and extra time that we free up by not having to be there. I promise you, you will reach your business goals without social media, and you will probably reach them faster and with less stress, more energy, and your sanity intact. There is a better way. There is a calmer way to market your creative business, and that's what this workshop is about. I will give you the framework that I have used to grow my business from absolute scratch a few years ago to now having a growing list of engaged, lovely subscribers and consistent sales coming into my business without social media and in a way that suits my personality and my business. Calm marketing, to me, it means sharing your personality, your philosophy, and your work with the world in a way that lights you up and provides value to others. The key mindset shift that we need to make when leaving hustle culture and creating a calm marketing strategy is that more is not automatically better. More followers or subscribers or traffic don't automatically translate to sales for your business. You can have 10,000 Instagram followers who barely see your content and who just follow you kind of casually, or who follow you because they're colleagues or competitors, although I don't like the term competitor, but they're just curious about what you're doing. They have no intention of ever buying anything from you. You can have 500,000 YouTube views that lead to very little traffic to your website. And you can have an email list of thousands of people, but they're the wrong people for you. And they're there for the wrong reason, and so very few of them even open your emails. Simultaneously, you can have an email list of just 100 highly interested, highly engaged people who really want to stay in touch and who are prime candidates for whatever it is that you sell. Depending on what you sell, you could make a comfortable living off an email list of just a few hundred people. A lot of businesses do this. We have to stop idealizing and striving after large followings and likes and comments and watch time and other online vanity metrics that don't mean anything in a business context. What matters in a business context are sales and quality relationships. Today, more than ever, we crave substance. We crave real personal connection. These things are growing increasingly difficult to find online, especially now with AI. We're swimming in empty, fake, shallow, fast food content everywhere, or content that looks like carbon copies of what thousands of other creatives have already made. How do you stick out in an environment like this? How can your little creative business make a difference and be successful? By doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. By offering substance and real personal connection in a way that only you can. By growing a small but deeply aligned and engaged audience of your people, the people who are here for what you have to say and offer. Building a stable business, a business that grows and makes consistent sales, means knowing who we serve, our people, our ideal clients and customers. With a creative hobby, we usually start with ourselves. We have something that we love making and would like to sell, and we might make a small occasional income selling what we make to other people. This hobby becomes a business when we shift focus from ourselves to our customer. We start to really pinpoint who our ideal or most likely client or customer is, and we brainstorm strategies of reaching them and serving them. Not all creative hobbies can or should get turned into businesses, by the way. We might not want to have to appeal to an audience with our art or even think about the audience. That's totally legit. That's the way I feel about my art and why I've decided to keep it as a hobby, or at the most, a no-pressure side gig. Because I realized that I want to paint what I want and not worry about selling it. There are other parts of my creativity that I do like to sell, and those are the skills and the passions that I've built my business on. You might need to do a similar inquiry if you feel uncomfortable with the thought of focusing your art on a specific audience. Ask yourself if you're truly ready and willing to turn this particular creative craft into a business. And if you're not, that's totally okay. You're no less of an artist for it. In order to build a stable business that can sustain us, we have to focus on our audience, our clients and customers. And the more we can pin them down, the more specific we can get when imagining them, the more effectively we can market to them. I recommend visualizing a single person in your mind's eye and writing down some typical characteristics this person has. What they do for a living, what their background is, what their life looks like, what they dream about, what they struggle with, what their sense of humor is, their taste in music and entertainment. The more like a close friend this person feels, the easier it will be for you to communicate with them. It might even be a close friend of yours or a previous client or customer. That's even better because then you can picture them clearly in your mind's eye when you write or speak. It doesn't matter that most of your actual clients won't match this ideal person you're imagining. They might be a partial match, or they might simply enjoy the voice and the personality that comes out in your content thanks to you visualizing this ideal person. Just having this person and letting them inform what you write or talk about and how you write and talk about it will help you avoid that trap of sounding just like everyone else. That bland, appeal to everyone and therefore no one style of content that makes up 90% of the content online today. Because most people, like you and me, are scared of excluding people in our marketing, and we're scared of offending someone with our sense of humor, and we're scared of not looking professional enough. But if we want to stick out as creatives, as business people, we must dare to be ourselves, because that's the only way we can be remembered and create real connections with people. And we must dare to exclude people, to turn some people off, because that's the only way that we can turn some people, our people, on. Makes sense? Being fully yourself in your marketing will draw your people, your ideal clients, towards you like a magnet. And that's the first part of our calm marketing framework. But we still need to reach our ideal person somehow. We need for them to discover us so that they can be drawn towards us in the first place. And we do this by reverse engineering the relationship so that we can reach our people when they are most easily reached. Think about what you would do if you were looking for someone just like you in your business. What would you search for? Where would you look? And what would convince you to hire someone or buy from them? Or if you sell something that people don't know they want yet, where would you be the most likely to stumble upon them, online or offline? And what would appeal to you and make you want to buy their stuff? Let's take an example. What would make me want to hire, say, a brand photographer for my business? I would probably start by searching for the term brand photographer in my area on Google. I would visit the first maybe 10 to 20 websites that came up. I would look at the photos on those websites and see if they match my vision for the photos that I want for my business. And the bigger their portfolio, the easier it is for me to do that. Then I would go to their About section and read about them. What's their story? What's their personality like? Is there a photo of them so I can see if they look friendly? Do they feel like a person I would like to work with for a whole day and be vulnerable and awkward in front of? I would read everything I can find on their site about how they work, what the process is like, what they've done for others like me, their tips for how to get the most out of a brand photography session, how to prepare for a session. Maybe they even have videos showing me exactly what to expect from working with them. Then I would look at their pricing info to determine if I could afford to hire them. And if I've already gotten a really good impression of them and their work, guess what? I probably wouldn't care if they're more expensive than some other person. I'm going with the one who gave me the best experience before even hiring them. The one who gave me substance and a personal connection. Let's say I didn't Googled directly after a brand photographer. Maybe I Googled something like DIY brand photography or how to take professional looking photos of myself, because I intend to do this myself. And then this person has an in-depth blog post or a video about that topic, and maybe an email newsletter or a free email series sharing their best photography tips with me. And the more of their content I read, the more I realize that actually I might just want their help instead, because they've made me realize all of the fine nuances that go into their work, and they seem very skilled and they seem fun to be around, so maybe I'll just hire them instead. This story is played out online all the time. This is how small businesses and solopreneurs like you and me get clients and customers despite not having large followings or ad budgets or social media managers, by providing substance and personal connection, showing up at the right places, and having a solid business infrastructure in place. Let's look at all the things that needed to be in place in order for me to discover and hire this imaginary brand photographer. Number one, they had a website that was discoverable thanks to some basic SEO, search engine optimization, that you don't even have control over if you don't have a website. They had a body of work, which they put front and center on their site and made it easy for me to view. They showed me their face and personality and story on their site, creating a personal connection. They gave me tons of free content that answered all of my questions and objections, that let me get to know them and made me trust their knowledge and skills. They gave me the opportunity to stay in touch with them and get more free resources via email. And then they continued to prove their value and offer me their services until I was ready to buy from them. This process will look different, of course, depending on what you sell and to whom, but the basic principle is the same. Stand out from the crowd by offering substance and a personal connection. Show up where it's relevant and timely. Give the right people a way to stay in touch with you, and then continue to show up. Be of value and offer your products and services. Can this be done with social media? Absolutely, but not in a stable, secure, effective, or long-term sustainable way. Social media is like the shotgun approach to finding your people. It's like standing by the side of a busy highway, yelling and throwing flyers at oncoming traffic, right next to millions of other people who are also yelling and throwing flyers. And if your business is all about art and storytelling and creative expression, personal development, you'll have an even harder time because you're standing next to people who are yelling about losing 30 pounds in 4 weeks or getting rich with cryptocurrency or some other sensational nonsense. A calm, creative business demands a calm marketing style that's suited to who we are, to what we do, and to what our people are looking for. That's why the majority of the people who buy original art, they do it in the calm and exclusive environment of a gallery, or after meeting the artist and seeing the art in person. They don't do it in their chaotic, distracting Instagram feed. Most people who buy books do it because it was recommended to them by someone they trust, not because the author was pitching it to them on TikTok. So how can we create this calm, ideal buying experience for our people online? By knowing exactly who we're talking to, by being there when they need us, having the infrastructure for inviting them in and staying in touch with them, and then offering substance and personal connection on a regular basis. If you do this calmly and patiently, you will have a successful business. It might take 6 months, it might take a year or even 2 years, but you will get there and your business will grow exponentially during that time. Your happy clients and customers will tell their friends about you and share your content and hire you again or buy from you again. And your body of work and library of content keeps growing, keeps getting discovered, keeps attracting your people to you. But in order to make this a stable and hustle-free business, it needs that infrastructure that we've talked about. What does a good business infrastructure look like? Probably some version of this. A website with something for sale on it, preferably, an email list, and some kind of free resource or freebie for new subscribers. First of all, why a website? I've hinted at this already, and I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but it's worth repeating. Your business needs a stable home. It can't be built on the chaotic and earthquake-prone land of a social media platform where at any time the algorithm can change, your account can get hacked or taken down, and you have no control over the look and feel and functionality. A website also lets you work with SEO to help people who search for what you do or sell find you. And by having all of your stuff in one place, your bio, your portfolio, your products and services, your content, you will get found easier and you will provide a more calm and cohesive experience for your people. Why an email list? Email isn't perfect, but it's the most reliable form of online communication that we have right now. And it differs from social media in a few key ways. The first one being an email is always seen, pretty much. It's not filtered away by an invisible algorithm. If your email lands in someone's inbox, you are guaranteed to have their attention for at least a little bit. Email communication is also one-to-one, or at least it feels that way, even if you send the same email to lots of people. Reading an email from someone usually feels a lot more calm and intimate than reading something they've published online for any and all to read and to comment on. And most importantly, you own your email list, and therefore you own your audience. It's not being held hostage by a social media company. You can segment your audience into different interest categories or different geographic locations. And you can take your email list with you whenever you want to try a different platform or service. Email marketing have proven time and time again that it's the most effective, the most profitable communications medium in existence. Just a simple Google search of email marketing statistics 2024 or whatever year you're at will give you some fresh stats, often compared to other mediums and platforms like social media. For the vast majority of businesses, their email list is the most important, most valuable asset they have. And that's always been my experience as well. After over a decade of running multiple different creative businesses, I've rarely ever sold anything that wasn't prompted by an email that I had sent. I've never had a huge email list, but I've still made good and consistent sales from my emails. And the more my list grows, the more consistent my sales are. And finally, why a freebie? Why should we offer free resources for new subscribers? Getting someone's email address isn't easy nowadays. It used to be a lot easier, but we've all gotten a lot more discerning and cautious about handing out our contact details because it's being abused by so many companies, including small businesses who take our email and then mostly end up spamming our inboxes with boring, useless content or too many sales messages. A freebie, sometimes called a lead magnet, is a free piece of content that you offer to new subscribers in return for their email address. It's not a necessity. Sometimes simply offering a really helpful regular newsletter is more than enough. But in my experience, also offering something more targeted can really boost the growth of your email list. What you're watching right now is one such targeted freebie. Something that I offer for free to attract my type of people, to help them solve a very common problem, and hopefully stay in touch with them and help them some more in the future. A freebie can be a great way to start off your relationship with a new person. Not only do they get something for free that's valuable and useful to them, but they also get to know you and to trust you a bit more. And that's a great starting point from which you can then continue to offer substance and personal connection to them. Okay, so how do we actually grow an email list without social media? It's not enough to just put up an email list sign-up form and let it sit there. We need to drive traffic there somehow. And for many businesses, the standard approach is to use social media to drive traffic to their newsletter and their free resources, which isn't a very effective method, by the way, because most people on social media would like to stay on social media. But it's better than nothing, I suppose. If we want to do better than nothing, what can we do? We can create searchable content instead and make use of other people's audiences to grow our list faster than we could on our own. In my experience, the two most effective ways to get discovered online and to grow our email lists are regular content creation and getting in front of other people's audiences that are similar to our own. This could mean getting interviewed in publications or podcasts, or interviewing people yourself, writing guest posts, or doing collaborations with other creators in your niche. How much of either of these that you want to do is entirely up to you. You could create some content and then mostly do these PR activities to expand your audience. Or you could rely mostly on your own content to drive traffic over time. The best is probably to do some of both. I myself am a bit shy, and even though I know my business would grow faster if I did more PR activities, I'm much more comfortable with creating content. So for me, writing blog posts and posting videos on YouTube has been my primary drivers of growth for my email list and business. For someone else, it might be their podcast or just their blog, maybe in combination with Pinterest, which is a search engine, not a social media. Your strategy should be built on whatever formats you enjoy creating the most, because that's where you can really shine. So what does it really mean then to provide substance, to create good content? It can be helpful to first define what the opposite looks like, the ineffective type of content. Ineffective content might look attractive at first glance, but doesn't provide much real or lasting satisfaction. It's more about seeming helpful than actually helping. Ineffective content isn't serving your actual intended audience and likely won't even reach them because they're not even on the platform to any great extent. Ineffective content will be lost and forgotten after a few hours or days and likely never discovered again. It relies on quantity to be effective. It likely won't be as relevant in a few years' time or even a few months because it relies heavily on current trends or events. It's completely devoid of your personality, or it's only about you and not about your intended audience at all. It just scratches the surface of a real concern, leaving a feeling of confusion and dissatisfaction, or it oversimplifies the problem and solution in order to squeeze it neatly into 30 seconds of video. Compare this to effective content, which is truly helpful, not just the same top 10 tips that everyone else is spewing. It's original. It has your personal touch, your perspective, your opinions, your voice in it. It's searchable and evergreen. It will be relevant and discoverable for years to come. And it relies on quality over quantity. A few questions I like to ask myself when I'm planning content are, what resource would I really have wished to have found when I was in my ideal client's situation? Or what is the advice that I would have most needed to hear when I was in my client's situation? Or what would be a resource that I could keep sending people to for years to come that would maybe answer some common questions or help them do a certain thing? Then we have PR, leveraging other people's audiences. This is a great way to kickstart the growth of your email list if you're a new business owner. Once you have your business infrastructure set up, and not before, because if something you do gains traction, you better have a website and email list there to capture the influx of new people checking you out. So once you have that in place, start mapping out some relevant places, publications, channels, and collaborations that might suit your business. Who else out there already has an audience similar to the one you're trying to build? And what could you offer that person and their audience? Maybe a new perspective, a powerful story, some helpful advice? If you sell services, some powerful drivers of business growth for you might be guest posting, being a guest on podcasts, doing public speaking, asking previous clients for referrals, networking at events, or simple word of mouth from doing a really great job. If you sell products, it might be going to markets or fairs or events, licensing your designs to companies, getting your product into stores, or getting your art into public places. If you're not sure where to start or what to focus on, think about where your ideal person is most likely to discover you and arrange your options by order of importance. Go for the most impactful one first. No overwhelm, no need to hustle. This is calm marketing, where we have a long-term strategy and work slowly and deliberately in that direction. How many lists have you read with 133 ways of marketing your business without social media? Do they alleviate your feeling of burnout? Because they don't. For me, I just tend to feel even more like I'm not doing enough. I think it's important to remember that just because we don't use social media doesn't mean we need to use every other strategy there is to grow our business. In fact, we can do fewer things, but better, more effective, more deliberate things to get better results. If you're feeling overwhelmed in your marketing, remember that A, you don't need to do all of these things. You shouldn't. And B, view your marketing as something you set off maybe 1 to 2 days a week for, and then forget about it the rest of the time. Focus on your work and your craft. There are too many businesses out there who seem to think it's all about being seen. And as long as they're seen, the actual business will take care of itself somehow, which is not the case. We have to remember that our work, our craft, our art comes first. That's the stuff people buy. And being really good at what we do is a form of marketing in itself. There is a workbook companion to this video that you can download below. And in that workbook, I lead you through this whole process of pinpointing your ideal person and figuring out the best places to reach them, and then crafting your own calm marketing strategy from that, based on the activities that you enjoy and that you are the best at. My current marketing strategy consists of making content regularly in channels where I can get in front of new people. I call them my discovery channels, and then nurturing that audience via email once a week. My discovery channels are my blog and my YouTube channel. My blog posts and articles bring me traffic from search engines, and YouTube has organic reach and traffic built in, since it's a search engine too. So the content I create will continue to get discovered and seen for many years to come, and it acts like a snowball. So the more of my stuff is out there, the quicker my audience grows. What works for me might not work for you or even appeal to you. You need to find your own way. Usually that entails doing some amount of experimentation. Don't be afraid to try something out for a while and then abandon it. There's no shame in that. It's the only way we can figure out what works for us and what doesn't work for us. I recommend choosing one main discovery channel, some kind of outlet where you can share your work and have it be discovered by new people. So maybe a blog, Pinterest, YouTube, podcast, etc. And then one nurture channel, which is usually an email list, but could also be something like Patreon. As long as you have control of your contact list and there's no algorithm between you and your audience. Then develop a weekly or a monthly rhythm of doing your work, creating your content, nurturing your audience, and doing PR as much or as little as you want. And that's it. That's what calm marketing can look like. You get to decide the pace, you get to decide what you work on, what you create, how you create it, and the rest is just patience and persistence. You will know your marketing works well for you when you are enjoying doing these things and not dreading them, when it feels like you are steadily building a body of work as opposed to running in this hamster wheel. And when every week some new people discover you and subscribe to you, or maybe even write to you saying thank you for something you have shared. I know I've just scratched the surface of some of these topics like email marketing, web design, content creation. There just isn't enough time to delve into any of these things too deeply in an overview like this, but I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope you can relax in the knowing that you don't have to build a huge audience in order to make a good living on your creativity. You can safely leave social media behind, and the workbook will lead you the rest of the way to creating your own customized, calm marketing plan. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I wish you the very best with your creative business.